Welcome into the Hustle Show right here on the Wager Talk YouTube channel. Drew Martin, Adam Trigger, CT Bets, Joe Ranieri bringing you big game breakdowns. We got best bets coming your way, hitting college basketball. We got college football national championship, NFL as well, all headed your way. Maybe some NBA. Who knows? Maybe getting on the ice with a little NHL. We'll see what's entail. But going right down the line here at Top Flight SI, Adam Trigger. Trig, welcome in, buddy. How you feeling?
Feel good, Drew. I'm finally well rested. Took a little trip to Colorado by myself earlier this week. Met some friends out there and saw a couple basketball games. And when you turn around and do that in the span of 24 hours, you definitely get the jet lag, especially when you didn't sleep much to begin with. So was tired yesterday, back to normal today, and ready to talk some games and hopefully cash some tickets here.
Yeah, pretty sweet Air Force hoodie there, man. Like that. We got CT Bets at CTBet16 on Twitter. Chris Thurston, what's up, man? Welcome in.
Drew, good to see you. Good to be back here with you guys this Thursday night. A little weird. No football tonight. So that's a little sad. But week 18 is here, and it's probably my least favorite week of the year. And Drew, I know we'll get into it later on, but we'll talk about why week 18 can be so difficult for bettors here. But always a pleasure, and still got some winners that can't wait to rip off tonight.
Sure, absolutely. CT Bets knows a little bit something about our sponsor of the show, Viva Tequila Seltzer. Guys, go check them out, vivatequilaseltzer.com. Our flavors pair perfectly with artisanal Blanco tequila for subtle and refreshing drinks. Use the promo code HUSTLE20 at checkout, 20% off your order. vivatequilaseltzer.com. Another guy that knows a little bit of something about Viva. Joe Ranieri stepping in for Kelly Stewart. Joe, always a pleasure, man. Thanks for coming on. How are you doing, buddy?
I'm 3 Vivas in here, so I am fantastic, in fact, on this Thursday. And I feel like week 18 is a lot like handicapping the bowls this year. Like, I'm trying to figure out who the hell's playing, who's not. It's like an extension of the bowl games right now with week 18 in the NFL. So should be pretty fun, though. That's for sure.
Yeah, it's definitely a different handicap for sure. And you're right. It does bring an aspect of betting the bowls and doing that type of research rather than just like the matchup type handicap. So it's different. Some people like it, some people don't. Sounds like CT, you're not liking it too much, man. Anything on that? Do you have a big game breakdown you want to throw out there?
Yeah, Drew, maybe I worded that wrong. It's not that I dislike it. I mean, there's some games that are definitely catching my eye, and two teams play in every single game. So there's winners out there, but I think a couple, important things to kind of note here is one of the biggest things for me week 18 is a lot of people assume that teams aren't going to try. And I don't think that's true. This isn't the NBA. NFL teams don't tank. We saw it last year with the Texans, right? Lovie Smith knew he was out. And what'd he do? He won the game last year when everybody thought that he was just going to mail it in. So I don't think that happens as much as people say it does. And let's not forget, like, preseason, there's 80 players on a roster. There's 53 players on a roster right now, and you could only sit 7 of them. So a lot of starters are going to play here, and there could be some really tricky games. The one I look at is the Ravens. Like Huntley, the last few years hasn't really been much of a drop-off off of Lamar. I mean, this year, obviously, Lamar's going to be the MVP, but I mean, the 2s and the 3s here aren't too bad. These are all NFL players. So nothing is going to be a cakewalk. I think there's some important things to be said for that. And be careful in week 18 here because you could get burned. And this is a really, really tough week. So after my rant on week 18, Drew, I do have an NFL game for my big game breakdown. And has a lot of playoff implications here. That's Texas at Colts. That's Saturday night. Winner, as we know, guarantees himself AFC wildcard spot and could actually probably maybe steal the AFC, the conference there if the Jags lose. So Texans, we know they're flying high with Stroud back. They throttled the Titanicals last week, and looks like Stroud didn't skip a beat, only sacked once. Offense looked great. Defense played pretty much a near perfect game, and the Colts, they needed to win. They got one. JT, he was lights out for the Horsies on the ground, which helped pave the way. Texans absolutely are the sexier team, more exciting team to watch, bet on. But let's not forget, as great as Stroud has been, and probably the rookie of the year here, he's still a rookie, and he's very young, and this is a big time game, and I think we could see him make some costly mistakes. So I think playing at home for the Colts will be a little more of an advantage than people seem to think. They've won their last 3 at home and seem to be a lot more comfortable playing there. They also run the ball a lot better than the Texans, and if Jonathan Taylor runs like he has been, big advantage Colts here. I know Stroud's been electric in the air, but the wideouts are a little banged up, and something tells me we're going to see some old school Minshew magic in the air Saturday night. So give me the home pup here. Shop around, find a +1.5, and play on the Colts to get the job done and punch their ticket to the playoffs here. Colts +1.5 for me for big game breakdown.
Minshew Madness Saturday night, and there is a 1.5 out there at a key global book, guys. Just check out the Wager Talk Live odds screen. CT bringing the heat here. First big game breakdown in the books. We got Joe Ranieri. Joe, what do you got for big game breakdown? Any thoughts on Week 18?
Yeah, there's one game that I played because I didn't understand it. Now that we have a pretty good idea of, in all likelihood, who will be playing and who won't be playing, I don't know how the hell we're supposed to get to 50 points in this Buffalo-Miami game, guys, on Sunday night. The Bills have only given up on average 17.5 points a game since the bye week in week 13. I mean, they have also, by the way, gotten a pretty big piece of their defense back now with Daquan Jones, which means Matt Milano is the only starter on that defense originally that remains out because of that gruesome leg injury in London. And when you look at Miami, I mean, Miami is a hot mess on the offensive line. They're not going to have one starting offensive lineman available to them here. And even one or two of the backups might be in trouble here. So now they've got to go up against Ed Oliver. They got to go up against Daquan Jones. They got to go up against a humming defense right now of the Bills in a situation that's not great. Now, Miami, it's not balls to the wall. Like, it's not the end of the world if they lose this game. Sure, they'd like to win it, but they've already punched their ticket to the postseason. But we know Waddle is probably not even suiting up for this game. He might be out. We saw the pictures yesterday with Tyreek Hill's. Apparently, his daughter is setting a house on fire while he was at practice. He's got a walking boot on outside, so he's not 100%. And even if he was, when they played back in week 4, week 3, I mean, he had 3 catches in that game. They weren't going to let him beat him. So I just don't see how we're supposed to get to 50 points in what is really going to be a playoff atmosphere game, especially if Pittsburgh and Jacksonville win. That means Buffalo has to win in that game, which is going to ratchet it up even more. So I'm on the under in the game. It's starting to come down 48.5 now, but I just didn't make any sense to me expecting this game to get to 50 points.
Yeah, AFC East championship game, the division championship game, pretty much. Big game there in Hard Rock. So that's a fun one, Joe. We got Adam Trigger up next. Big game breakdown, man.
Well, I'm not going to break down Bills Dolphins again. It was the game I was going to talk about, but I also talked about it on today, and I did play the Bills -3. I think that it'll probably go to 2.5. It already starting to go to 2.5 because I think, and the only thing I'll say about it is I think some of these Miami guys are going to play, but they're going to play hurt, in which case I'll put even more on the Bills. Love the Bills to get it done in that game. That's a 4% play for me. I'll slide over to College Hoop for my big game breakdown. Big to some, Drew. I know everyone's not dying to get involved in Sun Belt basketball, but I sure am. I love that conference. And I'm going to talk about Texas State, Coastal Carolina, a game that goes, I believe it's 8 p.m. on the 8 p.m. Eastern, maybe 7 or 8 o'clock. No, it's 8 o'clock. It's a couple hours till this game. Texas State is a team that I'm going to start playing on going forward. When I mentioned this game on Wager Talk today, I wasn't really sure if this was the right spot to do it. But as it gets closer and closer to game time, it looks like 8, which is what the number is right now, is going to be fine here for Texas State. The reason I want to play on Texas State going forward is they're getting guys that they haven't had all year that I think really changed the makeup of their team. Colton Benson is a transfer from Army. He hadn't played the first 2 months of the season. He's now been back for a couple games, but most importantly, he was kind of used off the bench the first 2 games. He played last game was the first game he really played his like full, like what I would expect his minutes to be, like 20 minutes. Went for 19 points in the loss to a very good James Madison team. But the most important thing there is the 4 3-pointers. He's a great shooter, and it's something Texas State has not had all year, which means they haven't really been able to stretch the defense at all. And it's caused them to play differently than they would play at full strength. Now, we might not see Drew Drinnen come back this year. That's a tough blow for Texas State. But another guy, Jordan Mason, that's now been back for a couple games, is playing like the leader of the team that I expected he could be heading into the season. He's the team's leading scorer. He's the one guy that looks like he can really create something in this offense. And so what you've basically had is Texas State, Mason Harrell is the player that was kind of the go-to guy on that team for the past couple of years. He graduated and they didn't have someone step into that role, which has meant Texas State hasn't been able to play the way they want to play, which is very slow, force you into a low possession game, play in the half court, and they just haven't had a guy that can score out of the half court. So they've been getting into like these kind of run and gun situations, which isn't their game. And now they can go back to playing their game because they got a guy that can hit the 3 and they have a guy that can create a little bit in Jordan Mason. And it allows them to bring Chris Nix, their big man, back into the mix because he doesn't score, but he's probably the best big that they have on the roster. A great rebounder, but most importantly, their best defensive player. So, Drew, when you can change the makeup of a team in the middle of the season, it typically means value. Because I don't think the books are taking that into consideration when they're pricing a Texas State Coastal Carolina line. They're obviously pricing it off what's happened so far this year and where they have the power ratings between the two teams. But I power rate Texas State significantly higher with guys like Benson and Mason back in the mix. And so for that reason, I think 8 is fine here. The number, I was hoping the number was a little bit lower to make it like a client play, but I think this is probably the second best there. One of the other best things that you could bet tonight in college basketball. So Texas State -8, don't agree with the Coastal Carolina money at all. And I think this is now getting to a price where you could definitely jump in.
Change in college basketball, bringing value, like the breakdown there, Trig, and totally agree with you, man. It's why college basketball, at least in my opinion, is the best sport to bet because there's so much for the odds makers to do and to cover, and therefore it leaves kind of like little cracks to kind of take advantage of. So, I mean, talking about Sunbelt basketball, I'll shift here. Thursday night, we got Horizon League basketball going after a team I had success with on Twitter, kind of betting on the Detroit Mercy. You might have heard of them in the Horizon League. And I'm actually betting them under the total. We can get it 133 here. It's the Detroit Mercy. They are on a drastic 15-game losing streak, guys. They've lost 15 straight. If you go look at their like kind of offensive rankings, they are at or near the bottom of all college basketball and a lot of offensive statistics. This team just can't score. And now they're going up against a Green Bay, Wisconsin team that plays very slow. They're the more talented squad. I'm pretty sure they're going to be able to control the pace of play. And what I'm getting at is I don't even think there's going to be 60 possessions here tonight. And if the Detroit Mercy, they might not even get to 50 points themselves. They've scored 55 and 60 and 56 points their last 2 games. That's 111 points in 2 games. Some college basketball teams score 111 points in 1 game. So 133, it's too high, guys. Green Bay, Wisconsin, Detroit Mercy, under the total. We got about 40 minutes to get in the bet because that is a Thursday night tip. So we got best bets coming your way. Again, guys, check out vivatequilaseltzer.com. Hustle20 is the promo code. It takes 20% off of your order. Viva Tequila Seltzer, refreshing and drinkable hard seltzer, 88 calories, 0 carbs, 0 sugar, 4.5% ABV. Viva, the perfect drink for your pre or post-game celebrations, as it was created with the active lifestyle in mind. CT Betch, Joe Ranieri, Adam Trigger. Anybody else want to throw out anything before we get to best bets? Any NFL, college football? I guess that's not your best bet.
Well, Drew,
All right.
I'll lead you into best bets here because you've inspired me here Obviously, so I was going to give Texas. I was going to give Texas State. I was going to give Texas State as my best bet, but I gave it a big game breakdown, and I already talked about Buffalo. So I'm just going to throw it out there. Detroit is getting their first win tonight. They're going to snap the 0-15. It's moved to 2, which is there's still 2.5s out there. It was 3 earlier. This actually got bet down from like 4.5. I couldn't agree with you more. It's going to be an absolutely disgusting game. Not one I recommend watching if you like to watch the ball go through the basket. But I think I don't think I'm not buying Green Bay. I don't think they should be favored. So we'll call it right here. Detroit Mercy, first win of the season. Best bet for the show.
Something like 51-49, right? Trig, it just ugly.
They're bad, yeah. Like I think the key point here is that Green Bay's just as bad. They just had a little bit, they've had a little bit of a better like variance early in the year. Maybe they're not as bad. Like I mean, they found a way to win some games, but they're not that much better than Detroit, and they're going on the road. So Detroit's gonna have to want it. They get the bump of playing like a Horizon League game now. Like a lot of these teams, you gotta. And this is just an overall point for betting college basketball. You have to like put non-conference play over to the side and like look at conference play like it's a new season. Reevaluate the teams. They're now going to be playing in their own conference. And so some of these like winless or one-win teams that step down and play now in their conference tend to be like decent bet-ons in the first couple weeks of conference play.
Yeah, I agree with you. It's almost a different season in itself, and it is at the University of Detroit Mercy. I love how they add the Mercy at the end. It almost like kind of brings your eye to it. I don't know. Not a lot of teams do that. CT bet 16.
Still Dick Vitale Court, I believe it's called. Dick Vitale Court there.
Love that. Is that one that you've been to?
No, but it's on the list, Drew, just like they all are. I'll get there at some point.
Really, you'll
see the shirt, Drew. You'll see the jersey, man, and know he was there.
Yeah, it'll take me like 10 years, 15 years, whatever. I'm gonna get to 25 a year until I get to them all. So
Joe, my favorite tweet that I've ever seen Trig tweet was a couple days ago, and he tweeted he was in his Air Force sweatshirt. That when he goes, "Great trip, Air Force lost by 100, but I had a great time." I was dying laughing to myself.
It reminds me of, you know what it reminds me of? It's like, oh, my parents went away on vacation. All I got was this stupid ass jersey. That's exactly, it doesn't make a difference. Win or lose, he's coming home with gear, wardrobe. Yep. He is adding to it, man. You got to appreciate the dedication.
I'm not even making fun of him. It just made me laugh because I love what he's doing. I think it's great. And him and I are doing 3 games in February, 3 days in a row, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, out in Texas.
Awesome.
We're hitting Baylor, Houston, then Memphis. Then we're flying from Texas to Memphis, right? Memphis, FAU.
Yeah,
then we're flying back, Joe, back to Dallas for Monday night. Okay, and then we're gonna see Baylor go to TCU. So for Big Monday, so 3 in a row.
I had to basically tell CT we were doing that in like a roundabout way so he would agree to it, which he did. So now he's in, So I said, I got a game for us on Sunday. I go, I go, I'll have a game. We're going to go to a game on Sunday. And then I was like, by the way, Florida Atlantic's playing Memphis. We can't miss that one. So we're going to go fly to Memphis and then come right back.
Yeah.
So quick flight. Not bad.
Quick trip. It'll be great.
Can't wait for that, CT. What do we got for best bets, final thoughts for the show, man?
Yeah, I'm going to the national championship for my best bet. And, 2 only undefeated teams left, rightfully so, playing for the Natty. And when you look at the Huskies, right, they've been an absolute moneymaker, and I've cashed plenty on them. And but let's take a look at some of their games, right? They've snuck a lot of these out. I know it was early in the year, had a tough game versus Arizona State. Also got outgained by a Stanford Cardinal team. They've just seemed to have that horseshoe up their ass all year long. And there's no doubt about it. The Wolverines were the best team in the country all year long. And I think we saw that in the semis versus Bama, which was a huge bet for me. They were clearly better on both sides of the ball. If not for a couple of special teams mistakes, Wolverines probably wouldn't have needed OT to get it done. And Milroe and Bama could not move the ball against that front 7. Milroe, he threw for only 115 yards. He was sacked 6 times. Michigan got to him and forced pressure almost every play of the game. And I don't think the Huskies can bang with the Wolverines in the trenches. And we saw them, they pushed around that Bama team the entire Rose Bowl. And I know Washington's pass game is electric, and the wideouts are absolute studs. I get it. And it looks like they're going to need every bit of that electric, to come in at this game, because they might be one-dimensional. We saw the running back, Dylan Johnson. He got hurt. He's going to play and give it a go. I don't see how healthy or how much he's going to impact this offense, but I don't see Washington's offense being able to win and beat Michigan's number one defense that Jesse Minter has so dialed in. I'm not one to get behind the Michigan versus everyone hype, but this is Harbaugh's time, and I think Michigan's going to get their first natty since '97. They're going to cover this number just went to 4 at a lot of books. So Circa sits at 4 right now. I think Bovada has 4. Best bet for the show and for the week is Michigan -4. Little bonus for you. I like the under 56.5 as well. I think Michigan and the under. Michigan isn't that, electric team. It's going to be kind of they're going to run the ball, slow the game down. I think that's a little correlated here. So Michigan -4, under 56.5. Little bonus for you, Drew.
All right, CT. Well, this makes for a heck of a hustle show, because I'm heading to the national championship as well. Joe, if you don't mind, I'll go next. We'll get a little a different view, if you will, in the national championship. Hey, we'll give the analysis. You decide what you want to bet, and I am up against CT bets. Not looking to do that. We obviously don't talk before the show, guys, but I'll give you the other side of the angle. Yeah, Michigan deserving of the number one spot to this point in the season. Number one scoring defense. Number one defense in terms of total defense. Can't take it away from them, guys. And going up against Milroe and Alabama, look, that Alabama's strength is not throwing the football down the field. We saw that firsthand. We saw that throughout the season. This is a totally different offense in Washington. If you were going to build an offense brick by brick, Washington's would be it. You would talk about one of the best downfield passers we've seen in quite some time, behind a really good offensive line with NFL wide receivers on the outside to make big plays down the field. Washington checks all 3 of those boxes, guys. Michael Penix, he's throwing dimes all over the field. We got the Joe Moore Award-winning offensive line in front of them, and all 3 of their big-time receivers are going to get looks in the NFL. I like that matchup handicap on the turf, fast track, controlled climate. I think that helps the Huskies as well. And looking at the coaching aspect, yeah, Jim Harbaugh, he's done a great job with Big Blue. I mean, so great. 3 Big Ten championships? He's not even denying his agent is talking to NFL front offices behind the scenes. I don't think that's good for preparation. And Kalen DeBoer, I know I'm in the minority here, guys. I actually think he has the coaching advantage. He's 25-2 at Washington. I love his profile. Former high school football coach, worked his way all the way up. We've seen this offense excel. And the Washington Huskies are 5-0 outright as an underdog under DeBoer. If you bet $100 on Washington each game they were the underdog, you are up $1,000. Hey, it's on ESPN, Conference of Champions. This makes for a great 30 for 30 episode in a couple years. They hoist the trophy, and that's the way the college football and Conference of Champions, Pac-12 conference ends their run. I think Washington, plus the money line as well, guys. We get them a plus 170 here to win the national championship. For the record keeping, I'll take Washington plus 4.5 for my best bet. Up against each other. Didn't plan it that way. It is what it is, guys. We got Joe Ranieri to finish it up here. Best bets. What do you got, Joe?
I'll go to college hoops too, and I'll go to Tampa, and I'll be looking to back South Florida here, opening up the AAC conference with a game against Temple, who might honestly be the most frustrating offensive team. If you have bet them at all this year, they are head scratching. They do bring some defense, but they're so inconsistent. I don't know why they bother shooting threes. They can't hit any, but yet they keep chucking them up. Plus, they turn the ball over a ton, and they're going in to a South Florida team that, if you have watched them, these guys are rolling right now. It is very offensive minded, very good. Tempo is going to be there. And they don't mind taking the ball away once or twice, too, from teams that aren't very good at protecting it. And Temple is not that. This is, to me, a very offensive, efficient team in South Florida going up against a Temple team that is not going to be able to score enough. I think they pull away in the second half here. The number was 5.5. I think South Florida opens up conference play with an easy win against Temple here tonight.
How about them Bulls? Little college hoops from Joe Ranieri. We heard from CT Bets, Adam Trigger. I am Drew Martin. Guys, VivaTequilaSeltzer.com. Hustle 20 at checkout takes 20% off your order. Our belief is to live long, live well, and live it up. Hashtag Viva Up. Guys, that does it for the show. Please smash that like button. Shout out to everybody in the comments. Thanks for joining us live. And feel free to comment below if you're watching on replay. Your thoughts, where you agree, what you disagree with, what you're looking to bet, all is welcome. Guys, thanks for tuning in. Cash those tickets.